All right, well, let's just do the intro. Rom Bros, we're back. We're
We call our
here.
listeners Ron Bros because according to data, we have 100% male audience from the ages 35 to 45.
Wow.
Not scary at
It's
all.
pretty big. We got a
Bros. There
following.
are Rom Bros. They're coming to us live from their parents' basement,
Yeah,
and we love them. Our loyal fan base. We got an extra special treat for you boys this week. Martin and I have on the one of the best DC comics in the city. She was just in the North Carolina Comedy Festival. You can see her all over. You can see her at the DC Improv. Sandi Benton.
Yeah.
Oh, what an
Hey.
Yeah.
And we are discussing Twilight this week.
Andy is also the Twilight expert. She's a really big fan of the series and knows a lot. So that's also why we're like, well, if we're doing Twilight, we definitely gotta have Sandi on.
I've been wanting to do Twilight for a while with Sandi.
It's been in the works for a little bit, and now it's October, so it's like the season for vampires and all everything. So it makes sense.
I would argue that every season is really, but this is appropriate.
Every day is a great day to watch Twilight.
Vampires.
So Sandi, I have to ask you, what is your background with the Twilight, I guess, franchise? Did you read the book as soon as it came out? Like, what?
I did not.
Okay.
I didn't mean to jump on your question. I'm sorry. I got too excited.
No. Go ahead and go. Let's go ahead and answer. Yeah.
So, okay. No, I thought Twilight was very stupid when it came out. I had a real attitude about it, a real chip on my shoulder. And I had a friend who was very pushy about how much I would like it. And I think eventually I was like, okay, let's see. She was pretty reliable about that stuff. But I think by that point, like Twilight the movie had come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I held up for a while.
So you had kind of an unorthodox journey to becoming like a Twilight lover.
Truly, I did. It was really the
kind of the reverse. Yeah. I feel like most people, they're like, oh yeah, I really liked it. Now I'm kind of embarrassed, but like you.
Nope. I was embarrassed and now I love it. And still a little embarrassed, but not really. Okay. Because everyone else is dumb. I also didn't see the movie first. I read the books first.
Same.
And I believe I was in college, when my senior year of college, when I read them.
Oh, okay.
Really...
I read the book for this. I read the first book for this episode.
Yeah, I read
was that his book?
I was very excited you were reading it. Wait, Jenny, what's your background?
Yeah.
Also,
my background with Twilight.
This is too bright. I'm sorry. Okay.
My background with Twilight is that like I was in middle school, I think, when I read I was in middle school when I read the first one. I didn't read it right when it came out though. Like it'd been out for a little bit, like the library had it by the time I read it. And so I read it, and then I remember telling people I just read the most amazing book. Like you have to read it. It's called Twilight. Like I read it and I was like, yes. So I don't think I knew, maybe like a lot of fanfare hadn't been built up yet, but I don't know. It was definitely a thing and it had definitely been out for a little bit. So I read Twilight. I think when I read it, I think New Moon was already out, maybe. I think I could immediately get the second one. So I read that, and then this is when it gets embarrassing. So the next one I like pre-ordered, paid like $50, like yeah, like had it overnighted to like my house. And then when the next one from Edward's perspective came out,
Midnight Sun.
Midnight
The
Sun,
recent release, it came out in 2020,
yeah.
I think.
You said it was recent, I
Yeah.
believe.
yeah, I like read that for like old time's sake.
Now there's
Same.
also the Library of Congress. What's that story, Sandy, that you can read in the Library of Congress?
So it's rumored, according to TikTok, you can find, I think it was Caitlin who sent this to me actually. You can find Forever Dawn, which is the initial sequel to Twilight. And it is essentially Twilight skipping the events of New Moon and Eclipse straight into Breaking Dawn. I've heard it's not great, but it is the Library of Congress. I think you can pay like $200. You have to read it there. And it's I think I'm gonna do it. Like,
Was this like her first draft or something?
yeah, I think it was like the first because it wasn't initially supposed to be a 4-book thing. So I think it was the initial version of that. And because she wanted to copyright the story, it's available there.
You know what you should do? You know that like Washington Post like date lab thing?
Yeah.
You should apply to be on Date Lab and say your dream date is for a guy to take you to like read that at the Library of Congress and see if they'll like pay for it.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Do you
I
think
don't
I
know.
get him to like shut up the entire time while I read?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you can like take photo. Like I don't know. That would be so interesting. I feel like they only send people to restaurants, but they like they give you like a budget. I don't know. That'd be really funny.
I would totally do that.
Or just like if you can find someone to pay for you to go do that, to like write a story or something. You should for real pitch that somewhere or something. I don't know.
I would. It's not a bad idea.
You should like try and pitch that because like that's kind of funny. Like local comedian and like Twilight like pay to send her to like the Library of Congress to like read this like. And then
Dude,
you
this is a great idea.
like and then you write like a little piece about it or something.
Your review of it and everything.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh my God.
That's wild. So it's like the first draft. Like what? I'm confused as to why does it skip the events and all of those and go straight to the other?
I think it was when because she initially wrote Twilight for herself and I think only gave it to her sister, which I like, it's nice, but I think it's like creepier somehow. Like, I feel like this is a weird book to write and then give to your sister and be like, that's it. Cause it's a very, I don't know. Everybody's like, it just seems like a weirdly.
It's like, I mean, which is like of the same genre and they are connected based off. But like it'd be like giving 50 Shades of Grey to like
yes,
it's like I wrote like it's like the same thing, right? It's like I wrote this like deeply
like vaguely sexual like
sexual
book
thing
about teenagers.
Yeah, I think that's the weirdest part, right? Like I wrote this book sexualizing these teens and like now here you go, you can like read the innermost thoughts of like your sister. Like what? I would be like, what the fuck if someone
true. It would be really uncomfortable. And like, I don't know, if you write a young adult book with the intention, oh, I'm writing a young adult book, I'm publishing this for like young adults, that's one thing. But this was like, I guess, based off a dream she had.
Yeah, I like watched a video about that.
Yeah.
It almost reminds. So I have this friend who, like years ago, this like guy who had interned on the Hill wrote like a novel about loosely based off his experiences on the Hill, and he asked like this group of acquaintances if they would like read and give feedback on the first draft of his novel. And my friend agreed, and she like didn't know this guy very well, and he sent it to like 5 or 6 people. And then she gets the first draft, and it's just like this deeply pornographic, like bad sex scenes, whatever. It's like 50 Shades of Grey, but for like interns on the Hill. And this is just this thing this like person wrote. And he was like, yeah, will you read it and give me feedback? Yeah.
Wow, I want to read
Deeply
that. I want
pornographic.
to read that though. That sounds way more interesting.
That might be like a thing for him, like, which is so weird. But I knew this guy in college who like I barely knew him, and he like messaged me one day and he said, yeah, so anyway, I make porn, but I make it with my friends. Like he just loves it.
That guy is cool, man. What a friend group.
You really did go to art school.
Like yeah.
It's like an art school thing to happen.
It was, but I didn't know him from any of my classes. I'm not even entirely sure he went to the school. I met him at a Denny's one like really late night, and we talked for a bit, but then like I think he kept bringing up this porn friend thing, not asking me to do it, just like that was a thing he did. This to me, that's the same vibe as this guy, as Hill guy being like, please read this porn I wrote about working on the Hill, which is, I don't know who would want to read that, but
I don't either.
I've always inspired to be a porno screenwriter, so I'll let you guys read some of my stuff.
If you send me a thing that you wrote without warning and it's just a bunch of porn, I will be so mad.
Dude, back in the saddle, dude.
You send that shit to Phil and Charlie. I don't want to see that shit.
I don't think they would read
I'll love it.
Either. No, I don't think
well,
they read it either.
They'll send it to other people, but they probably won't read it themselves.
Yeah.
They'll forward it.
I haven't written that, okay? That was a joke. Come on, guys. I said I inspired to be. I didn't say I was. Like,
if you aspire to be, then you better start doing it.
No.
Better start writing.
Make it happen.
No. I think it was when I told my friend about it, he let me know how weird that was. That I was like, hey guys, I wrote my own porn. And then I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. That's
weird.
That's so weird.
But Twilight does it another step farther, where it's like Mormon porn and with high schoolers.
Yeah.
Which is creepy.
Was there anything else like steamy you read in like your youth? And by youth, I mean like middle school, high school, college.
I mean, I think.
Did you like 50 Shades of Grey when it came out?
I did not read 50 Shades of Grey.
Have you ever read it?
Mm-mm.
Did you watch it?
I watched the first one. It was all right. Seemed crappy, but the guy's really hot. Like, that part.
It's funny because when 50 Shades of Grey came out, someone else came to me and they were like, I just read this book. It's the best book I've ever read. You're gonna love it. It's called 50 Shades of Grey.
Did you love it?
I mean, I was like, oh, this is very like interesting. I was like very I wasn't like innocent, but I was like, oh wow, like this is when all you really know is like vanilla, and then you read this. Like, I didn't know anything about like kink.
Yeah.
So like whatever. But then of course I quickly learned, like the kink community's mad because this book is like portraying it in a bad light and whatever. But anyway, so I have to ask, Sandi, you love like Twilight the book. Like, do you think the movie, so like I liked the book when I saw the movie, I could not like get through it really.
So I love the movies, but they are terrible.
Okay.
They're I think objectively awful. I feel like New Moon kind of gets it right. I feel like Chris White's the director of New Moon. He seems to understand the like book to movie young adult franchise vibe. I feel like he did pretty well. Uh but even then, like they're not good, but I've
I
watched
watch
them all.
it
It's
trying.
fantastic.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go
no,
ahead. I like watch it trying to figure out like what is the worst part. You know what I mean? Is it like the writing? Is it because it's like I guess it's the writing, but I mean the acting seems so bad, but then I'm watching it and I'm like, is it the writing? But also I think the music is a crime.
Oh,
Like,
What?
actually, what the Robert Pattinson has his own song in the first movie.
He has
really?
songs in
Yeah,
it.
it plays in the film.
He's got
There's a great video, like a YouTube video where someone's just cut together like all the interviews he's done. And it's like Robert Pattinson like hates Twilight so much because
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, it's really good.
if you
yeah,
watch the first movie with the commentary, would highly recommend. It is like watching Robert Pattinson do the riff tracks for Twilight, and he's pretty funny. Like it's pretty good.
It made me like him a lot more because I don't
yeah.
like much about him.
Oh yeah, I'm a big RPAT fan. He's
I was like, at least he's like self-aware, you know? Because sometimes there are people and they're like in these bad movies and then they go on like late night and they like have to act like it's a good film, you know? But he goes on there and he's like, yeah, I can't wait to be done with this. Like,
Yeah, he was like,
there
he
there were
calls. Sorry,
oh go ahead.
I was like, he called Stephanie Meyer a mad person. Like, she must be mad for writing all this.
yeah.
She yeah, I there's a couple things about I don't know, I guess the way the movies got made. Like I guess Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart didn't know that Twilight was this big thing. They thought they were making like
And
an indie
indie.
vampire movie. And then until they went to Comic-Con before it got released and it was this whole thing, which feels like that can't be true. I feel like you got to know about it. But I thought, I don't know, I thought that was interesting. Like they both as actors seem like interesting people. But like the source material is, well, I love it very much. It is just terrible. It's very bad. And had another thing I don't remember. So never mind.
Well, okay. Well, I feel in the compare because I did read the book now. Comparing the book to the movie, I feel like they I mean, there's it's like a 500-page book, which is also a crime. But they really progress faster at the movie, so there isn't as much character development between Bella. Well, first of all, Bella and Edward both are way more interesting in the book. In the book, Bella has more of a personality. Same with Edward. And the movies are both kind of dull people, and then they progress everything kind of quick because it's a movie that I don't know. It feels like the relationship doesn't really get built that much. So when she's all like, "Oh, why are you not talking to me? You're ignoring me." I was like, "Well, you guys barely know each other anyway." So I kind of didn't really feel anything for the relationship in the movie. I was not interested in either character movie version.
I would agree with that. Like if they skipped out like on a whole bunch of them, yeah, getting to know each other stuff, which made all of it even weirder. And then uh Jenny, you said you read Midnight Sun. What did you think of Midnight Sun?
Um, like I feel like by the time I read it, I don't know, it was just like one of those things where I'm like, I don't actually care about Edward's perspective. And I realized, like, reading it, I was like, I actually like not knowing what he's thinking. Like, I prefer to not know what he's thinking because it ruins some of the illusion.
The mystery, you know.
Yeah, because it's like I like to like read something. I like just having the original perspective as it was intended. You know what I mean? Like then it's like I can project whatever I want to onto this fantasy. And then it's like reading it, it's like, oh, I don't want to know. Or actually, yeah, and it takes like some of the purpose away from reading a book about a character that I already know, you know? I don't know. It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy the way like Game of Thrones is like set up like that too, you know what I mean? From like I don't really love that type of storytelling from like different perspectives. Like I'm like just give me the point of view from like the main character and then I can judge everyone else based off of what's happening to them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
also sorry, with Game of Thrones like that or other books, it's also can be confusing when it's each chapter is like a different point of
Yeah,
view.
like this is different, obviously, because it's
Yeah,
just like a late release of like
yeah,
a
yeah.
book from a different perspective. Like, not a lot of other things do that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was like, I could have lived without this, but I just did it for like, I read this for like old time's sake.
Yeah, nostalgia.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I hadn't read Twilight in like a while. Like I like was real into it in like 2009, and there was a long period where I just like yeah, I was like, oh, that was nice. Then when Midnight Sun came out, I read that and then reread all of them. And
I feel like if it's your comfort read,
my
Sandy,
comfort read,
I'm
my
living
comfort
with
read.
you. I
It's
can
also this
tell.
came
Yeah.
out in 2020, like in like
Yeah,
late
bad time.
summer of 2020. So it like I read this like during like one of the worst times like ever, right? And like it was kind of nice to just have that like, oh, I'm reverting back to like a better,
Yeah,
a
bad
more
time.
secure time. So I like that.
Who I was.
I was also, I don't know. I guess this is a lot for the pod. So here you
Oh,
go,
don't
Brown
worry,
Bros.
Don't
Sandy.
worry about that.
But
Yeah.
I read it while I was in withdrawal from Klonopin.
Nice.
And I which okay, so
Perfect.
I have a
Dude.
lot of theories about Stephanie Meyer's childhood.
Okay.
Because all of Edward's book reads like an addict,
Uh,
which I really appreciated going into it. And all of Bella's point of view reads like someone who comes from an alcoholic home. And I haven't looked into it much, but I have a lot of theories about Stephanie Meyer's initial home life. I feel like,
she's Mormon, so
yeah,
yeah, I'm saying, good. I don't know, Mormons have very strict rules or whatnot, but yeah, I'm not saying you can't come from a broken Mormon home.
I mean, it could also be like I guess she stayed Mormon, right?
I think she's still
Like
Mormon.
Mormon, yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I feel like if you like grow up with a very strict religion too, it can, like they say, it can have a similar effect. Like if one of your parents was an alcoholic, like it can be the same kind of thing. If like certain circumstances were there, where like you kind of have similar qualities to someone, like if your parents are like really super sick, or if they're I don't remember all of them. Read a different book about this, but it's like a whole list of things. And one of them is if they're like really, really strictly religious. Um,
it's
But
Yeah,
if she's
no,
saying the religion, which she did, that seems like it'd be a different
yeah, it's all trauma. That's what it comes
Yeah,
down
it
to.
does feel like
It is.
the ways in which the characters interact, it's like this is someone that has attachment like born out of trauma.
Yes, which is why I really,
Oh,
really
that's
like
why
it.
it's we said it related. Yeah.
It is. Well, like the whole thing, I think I talked with someone about this, like uh the whole story is essentially like the dream story for like someone who grew up with like either alcoholism or whatever in the family, because it's literally someone coming to save you and noticing that you're special when nothing else happened, and then they take you out of your life and you live with them and they protect you forever and they see who you are. And that's like, but you don't have to make any choices yourself. You don't have to like.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, actually.
Amazing.
I think I want that actually.
An
Someone-
interesting fact about Stephanie Meyer I learned is that she was a National Merit Scholar, which I think is
Hey.
hilarious because this is like horribly written.
It, it,
It is and it isn't though. It's like
right.
it is and it isn't. Like it's like it is, but it's like some people are good at just like writing for like a
Writing
really
trash.
specific audience.
Yeah, it is for Pacific Guardians. I can say that from reading it yesterday, but
And it's like who's right? Like the person who writes this like heady niche thing that's like only appreciated by this like select group of intellectuals, or somebody like this who like writes something that tons of people like and then like makes a ton of money off of it. You know what I mean?
I'm more
Yeah.
of an intellectual. I don't know about
People
you
are
guys.
connecting to something here in like a pretty strong way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like a
Because
Yeah.
people
yeah, whether
are
if it's like
dumb.
romance or
That's because
escapism.
people are not smart. That's why people are stupid. That's why.
No, there's
It's for
something
dumb
in it.
people.
There's something in it, and I think this one may have come from Caitlin too, because Caitlin and I have had a lot of conversations about Twilight, because while she is not a major Twilight fan, I think she was doing initially like an academic reading of them. So we've gotten into it a bit about Twilight, and we were talking about how like what about it was actually good, because has to be something's working. And I think she brought up that it was like the characters, like the fleshing out of the characters, like you kind of know who they are enough
Like
to, like,
Stephanie
Well-
Meyer is the Donald Trump for like misunderstood suburban white girls. Like she is their like Donald Trump. Like she gets how to talk to them in a way that brings out the worst of them, their worst impulses, and then they go like buy more of her books.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting analogy, I don't think.
Because it's like
anyone's-
I feel like at that age you feel so trapped and your world feels so small.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
You don't realize how big the world is.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, of course you want this like I think the funniest part of this movie is like him running really fast.
That's the
Yeah.
stupidest. Yeah, the speed of the vampires is pretty dumb. And then I don't think the world was asking for vampire baseball. I don't know why baseball was inserted in the narrative, but they could have just been hanging out. I don't know why, and they needed to have the vampires be into baseball for some reason.
This scene is so long. The scene is so long in the movie. It is so long in the book. The book goes detailed into baseball for no reason. It's describing all the individual plays, which is stupid. Also, in the movie, there's a moment where Carlisle goes to Rosalie, who looks mad, and says, "Nice kitty," which I think is the creepiest thing. And it like every time I see it, I have to pretend like that didn't just happen.
That's really weird. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
it's the dumbest part. It's the running, the baseball, and Jacob's wig. All three are actually the worst parts of the film.
Yeah,
Uh,
his wig is atrocious.
They want to make him look like Native Americans, so like, oh, have this really long hair that'll make you look more like
Yeah, that's probably one of the more offensive things, like
yeah.
uh,
in this movie that have not aged well.
Yeah,
I
and it's
think
weird how yeah, like she meets Jacob in the book or whatever, and they go for a walk, and he just tells her this like native lore, legends or whatnot, and then Bella just is like, oh yeah, I guess, and she just runs with it. She's like, oh, this all must be, yeah, I guess Edward's a vampire. I guess, yeah, from these ancient folk tales you told me. Yeah, I guess it all makes sense.
And she immediately like went to like a Native American bookstore and like
Yeah.
found the
She
exact
she
perfect book.
insisted. She was like, I gotta get this from a Native American, but I can't go to the library. I have to search
yeah,
this
she
out.
skipped over the Amazon link in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
movie, the little like
yeah,
Google
yeah,
search montage. She
yeah.
skips over any ordering it from Barnes and Noble or anything and goes straight
She
to here
the,
is
the
the shop that's an
independent.
hour away. Yeah.
She made sure she got it from the source. But
But
then I don't, yeah, there's also other stuff about Bella that like like she's always, at least in the movie, yeah, even in the book, it's like right when Edward saves her from the car, she is so like focused on him getting there fast. Like the fact she's not dead, she doesn't care about. She never thanked him. She was like so persistent. Like, wait, how'd you do that? It wasn't like, oh, thank you for saving my life.
Bella's a bitch, man. Like in a lot of it, I feel like the whole series we're supposed to see her as this like really kind, caring person, and like half the time she's just kind of a con like
Jeez,
I like a
wow, I
little
didn't
bit.
expect that from you, Sandy. Yeah.
I
I feel like she's a good character study on the way like anxiety makes people like self-centered, right? I
yeah.
think, and that's like probably reading too deep into it, but it's like anxiety makes people like very self-centered because they're just thinking about like how people like relate to them. And that's like kind of how she is like the whole time. And that's like giving her probably too much credit to be like, oh, I just diagnosed Bella Swan with like anxiety. But I mean, like, that's like, I don't know, that's like kind of how she is. She's like very like worried all the time. And it's all about how um she perceives Edward in like relation to her, you know.
Yeah, I
She,
wouldn't
she,
know anything about the anxiety. Okay.
she is so obsessed in that way. But the thing that, and like kind of that's too strong. I think she is like a good person character, but like the way she treats anyone who's not Edward, I think is kind of rough. Like the way she
Yeah,
treats everyone at the high school is like weirdly mean.
kind of
And
hates all those kids in high school.
I wanted
Right.
this book when I read this book and how I thought this series was gonna go. What I thought it was gonna be like Tuck Everlasting, where she like has this romance and then she like leaves and like goes on to just like have a normal life.
spoiler for Tuck
Again,
Everlasting.
yeah,
Spoiler, yeah, spoiler alert for Tuck
haven't
Everlasting,
haven't
Wow.
read that.
which
Well,
has
I'm
been
gonna let
out.
popcorn on the bed. I'm sorry. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and I think that's why she's crying. What?
Yeah, sorry everyone who hasn't read Tuck
Sorry.
Everlasting, which was
Yeah.
released in 1975.
The,
That
the
one came
movie
out.
came
I
out in
remember like
like
the previous.
2001.
Okay.
Oh, can we see Bever? Where's Bever? We can see his tail. Oh. Oh, there he is.
All right, come on, come on.
It's a
Hi.
pub
Good Lord.
dog break.
That's great.
Um,
Yeah. Well, so I guess I, only read the first book. I like watched the first movie. I've not proceeded any further yet, but I
but you
guess
can.
I do
You have all of them,
have
Sandy.
I do, yes. I do have access to all these books very easily. So I just don't know like how is her how is like we don't really meet Jacob at the first one. He seems like a nice guy. So like how is Jacob in their and Bella's relationship, I guess, in the next book, and like as the series goes on, like how is he different from Edward?
Jacob's initially much better, becomes problematic, becomes a little like um the friend who feels he's a little bit owed more affection. There's a whole
Yes.
yeah, it's
He's like a nice guy or whatever. Is it one of
he's
those
like a
things?
like
He's
he
like, I'm a
starts as
nice
an
guy.
actual nice guy and becomes a nice guy, like who's
Okay.
like you love me and you won't let yourself admit it kind of thing.
It seems like a very wrong bro type guy. This kind of seems like
Yeah,
a wrong
that
bro.
really does. Yeah, no, it definitely feels like that category of male that's rife in like the 90s and early aughts,
Mm-hmm.
like where it's like the nice guy and then he's like mad that like the girl doesn't like him because no, yeah, and it's like no friend owes you more than that. Like, yeah.
It's
I
problematic.
guess apparently, well, the actor Taylor Lautner, I'm sure he's a nice guy. I've heard what was in Taylor Swift's Back to December written about him. I think you told me that, Sandy,
I
right?
did, and I loved how excited you got when I said
It
it.
was
You
pretty
seem real
cool.
pumped in the moment, which is nice.
Yeah. I didn't know if that was written about him,
Yeah,
so and if that,
rumored.
yeah,
I don't know if that's been confirmed, but they did date. It was for a pretty brief period. If you listen to
well,
the lyrics of Back to December, it sounds like that would be a Taylor Lautner thing.
yeah, it's not, now when I read the book or I watch the movie, it's like I'm going back to December, I'm going back to that time
Just like
where,
that.
I was in a good place reading this book and watching the movie.
Just like that.
Yeah. But
Um, Jenny, did I tell you I went on I didn't go there for this reason, but when I went to Portland back in March and the first Twilight movie was filmed all around Portland.
I knew you did like some sort of Twilight tour while you were there.
her
They did
personal
not have an official tour.
yeah, this is the Sandy
Oh,
Benton tour.
oh, this is like a self-created
Yeah,
Oh,
tour.
a self-created tour. However, I made
People.
friends on it because we
Nice.
kept going to the same sites around the same time
Nice.
and became pals. Um,
Yeah, definitely a big fan base though. You guys, what do you call Twilight fans? Like what do you guys call
uh,
them?
so I don't
Is there
call
a
myself
name?
anything because it seems very sad. And
But
generally, even though I get pumped talking about it, I'm
but
I'm embarrassed about this, but Twihards is the term.
by heart, so I love that.
That's the term.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Man. Oh, you should go to Phoenix next because Bella loves Phoenix. She talks about Phoenix all the time.
I'm
And
not gonna lie to you, Phoenix blows.
you've been to Phoenix? I don't think I've been to Phoenix.
My brother and my
Oh,
sister-in-law know
that's right.
they live in Phoenix, so I love them. I love going to see them.
What
But
sucks
Phoenix,
about
Yeah,
Phoenix?
what do you hate?
Do you
I
hate
think
the desert?
I think I hate the desert. Yeah, so
I like love the desert.
I I miss there being a bunch of trees around. It
Oh,
bums me out. Something about it.
now wait, in Arizona, daylight savings time, I believe.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So yeah, this funny story, when I went to Grand Canyon when I was in Vegas. I went on like a bus took us down there, and they like dropped us off. You can walk along the Grand Canyon for like a mile, and you end up at the visitor center. He was like, okay, get there by like 4:30, or like he said I'll leave you. He probably wouldn't leave us, but I got really scared of that. So anyway, I looked at my clock and it was like 4 o'clock. I was like, oh shit, I gotta make it. I saw the mile left. So like I just fucking like booked ass there. I couldn't find the bus anywhere. And I was like, oh shit, they left me. And then I talked to the park ranger. He was like, oh no, it's 3:30 because I had no service. So my phone and my watch didn't reset itself. So I really ruined. I spent up a lot of time at the Grand Canyon thinking I was gonna miss my bus because
Oh no.
it's like, yeah, because it's, you think they'd be in the same time zone, which they are, but when it's not daylight savings time, they're actually an hour behind. So
I didn't know
I'm
that.
saying, like, be careful when you go to Arizona. Okay, you could really mess up your schedule.
That's good advice.
That's good advice.
That is good advice. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I met some lady on that Grand Canyon tour. And she was really nice to me, and then she was like, "Oh," and then she said, "Oh yeah, I talked to Jesus last night," and I was like, "Oh man, I always attract those people. Whenever somebody's nice to me, they end up talking to God, or want to like pray for me or something. I don't know why I attract such characters."
I wouldn't care for it if a stranger came out to me and said, "Can I pray for you?" I feel like
Oh,
it'd be like,
yeah, it hasn't happened in a while, but I definitely have.
That's so offensive.
Yeah, I haven't
yeah,
had.
it kind of is.
Yeah, it hasn't happened in a while, but I definitely have had that happen, and it's also really awkward when, like, I don't know, if they're just like putting their hands on you, like,
If someone did that to you while I was with you,
I would flip
think
out.
then I would fucking flip out, Martin.
Yeah.
wow.
When I say I haven't lost my temper in a long time, then I would fucking lose it.
Oh yeah,
That's what
we talked about in the last episode how apparently I have a temper, quote unquote.
you
Yeah,
do.
you do.
No,
You do.
what?
You got it right. Yeah, right. There it is. There's a sneak peek.
And then
So-
Martin tried to tell me, he was like, "You've yelled at me," and I was like, "When have I yelled at you?" And then he like named a situation. I was like, "That wasn't yelling. That was telling you not to do something." Like I said something. And he was like, "Oh, well, it's the same thing if you like talk in a stern voice." I was like, "No, it's not, Martin."
You know what? To some people it is. To some people it has the same feeling as being yelled at. For some.
I mean, I get that one. I feel that way too in general. But I'm imagining this, and I would imagine Jenny was not yelling at you. Like,
All right. Well,
Yeah, but you did yell at Phil.
okay, you weren't even there. Okay.
I was there, and I am here to tell you it was harrowing.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
It
Yeah,
was very.
everyone. Yeah, they're eyewitnesses. I feel like I was there.
I was concerned you had a weapon. You came in.
Okay, don't put that on me. Don't bring in a weapon. Okay, come
No
on.
weapon. No weapon.
Okay. Actually, you know what? I did have a weapon. My arms. They're, that's
Well, see,
they're
all right. Well, then you admit it.
okay.
It was
Yeah.
that was you yelling. That was you
Sure.
made a scene.
No, I did not. No, I know. I don't know. I guess I get
You
really
can't decide whether you make a scene or not, Martin.
okay. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thanks. All right, you know what? I've talked to my therapist about it, and she just, we're aware. It's mostly when driving, and maybe, yeah, maybe, my dad may have a short temper. Maybe that's where it comes from. But I will say, I used to get upset with my dad like yelled when driving. But now when I drive, I get it. Like I understand why he got so mad while driving. Like I understand that part.
Yeah, you weren't driving though.
I know, but I'm saying
And
now
yelled
that
at Will.
I'm saying
You
now
were-
when I do drive and I get real upset, I understand why he got so upset when driving. Because like I actually think we should add when we get a license, we should add like how competent you are as a person. I think that really
What kind of questions measure that?
you take the SAT again, okay? We take a written test.
So you think that the best drivers are the ones who score the best on the SAT?
No,
I'm going to tell you, I don't think so.
Okay, maybe not the SAT was a bad example, but the point is most drivers are stupid assholes who don't know what they're doing, and all you have to do is just, go fast and we'll all be good.
Martin, I've ridden in a car with you, and you're
Not
also a
that
bad
bad.
driver.
You are a bad driver.
Okay, whatever. Okay,
I
Sandi,
am too.
Sandi
I'm a
ran
terrible.
over. Sandi ran over several curves.
Yeah. First of all, that's what.
Yeah, we're not
for.
talking
That's
about
what
Sandy's
for.
driving or Sandy's like temper.
I
What
don't
does
have.
what does
Is it
Sandy
right?
driving over a curb have to do with any of this?
Well, but she's
It doesn't
Is this
negate you being a bad driver.
Is this my temper? Am I doing it now?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, we had one.
I think that's a you question.
Okay.
Yeah, we
had
can't
one-
answer that, Martin. Only you can answer that.
Yeah.
I will say that your test idea is flawed. I test pretty well, and I will say that
Well,
as a driver, I'm pretty bad. It's pretty rough.
I did. Well, I don't know.
You get road rage in the car with me.
Because you do everything. You do the exact opposite of what I would do. Like everything, I'm like, I would have gotten that later, but it's okay. I appreciate it that you drive me around sometimes. So
there we go.
I've come to terms with it, but yeah, maybe the first time
I've come to terms with that I am the one who's driving every time we go somewhere together.
Okay, okay, yeah, 9 times out of 10, but I've driven a lot, right? I've been like, gotcha, San.
Although I will say you've driven me to the airport.
Yeah, I'm good.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe I'd really do. If I really let more rage, you don't know how much rage I keep inside though. If I really let it all out, it would be
a tragedy.
Yeah, it would be a tragedy. Okay, but anyway, I guess Sandi and people I live with have seen it more than most people have, I guess.
Yeah, they say the greatest victims are always those closest to the perpetrator.
Really
It wasn't even. All the stories are exaggerated too. Okay, all these stories, you guys. I think I had a reason. Okay, sometimes like you guys do it on purpose. I
don't say you don't have a reason.
Yeah, I haven't.
Oh yeah, I don't provoke on purpose.
Yeah, sometimes Kevin provokes on purpose.
I was going to say, I'm sure Kevin provokes on
Kevin.
purpose.
That was the first time I snapped in this house. That was during the Tom and Jerry movie when I was like, really, yeah.
It set the tone for all future snaps. It's Tom and Jerry.
No,
wait, what happened?
I can't even remember. It's not. I
don't remember either. Something about we wanted to watch the end credits for Tom and Jerry,
which there certainly have been end credits, and the end credits scene was nothing anyway. It was stupid. It didn't matter.
Well, why didn't you want to let them watch it?
We did watch it, but I forgot what it was. But
I don't remember why you got mad.
Kevin kept bugging me about getting there. I was like, you know what? We're not gonna watch it. I was like, we're not gonna watch it.
A lovely evening watching a children's movie as a house. Really having the nostalgia about Tom and Jerry. It was very wholesome. until Martin took a turn.
Martin does have the energy of like a dad in one of those like movies from the 60s when like the furnace is broken, you know?
Yeah, this yeah, that's yeah, the Christmas story when I go
Yeah, you really
downstairs,
got that kind of energy.
like yeah,
He has like an ability to snap just like you.
yeah, I definitely I probably would be cursing if I had to fix the furnace or whatnot. Yeah, I understand where that guy is coming from. But also with that guy in the Christmas story, similar to my dad too. So I mean, I know where we get it from. uh, anyway, yeah.
Well, to bring it
Speaking of,
full circle,
sorry.
I would say that Edward has a very intense temper. So
Oh,
Yeah, he's like a mad man.
he is.
oh,
He's got a real like turn out a dime temper. So you
well,
guys, you know,
also
you should read
I
Midnight Sun. You're gonna really identify.
I forgive Edward if he was ever like shitty or anything, because it's like, hey, he's a vampire. Like, what do you expect him to be like? You know, like. But also in the movie, it's so clearly obvious his family are vampires. If they look obviously like they're vampires, like I'm sure some people had to be like, I think they're already weird, you know, already kind of mysterious. I'm sure people have thought that before.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty cakey make. Like it is, they're very, very white. Like it's
Yeah, they look like,
creepily, yeah.
yeah,
It's funny when Kristen Stewart is like, "You're so pale and white." And I'm like, "You're so pale and white." It's like funny her pointing that out about like that's why
yeah.
he's a vampire, because it's like, okay, they also
Oh, so in the sun, what happens again? He's like bright. He's like a
Sparkle.
diamond. So
They
yeah,
sparkle.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, that was some of the worst, like, yeah,
Yeah, well.
CGI or whatever.
Also, speaking of dads, yo, Charlie the man, dude.
Charlie rules. He's
Charlie.
he's he's kind of the best.
Except for, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I
Got
don't know.
something bad to
Here's
say about Charlie.
what?
Got something bad to say about
Well,
Charlie.
if it's what I there are a couple bad.
A cab, but
Oh, because he's a cop. Okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah,
I was like, I feel like this is pro cop propaganda.
maybe, I guess.
Kinda
'Cause he's a
is.
nice guy. Would you
Our
say,
last movie was pro life propaganda. This
yeah,
is
we watched it pro lab, now it's pro cop.
Yeah, there's even
Was-
a line in it that said where someone calls, like, says the word fetus, and then another character is like, say it, it's a baby. I'm like, that's really.
Is that in this movie?
It's in Breaking Dawn.
Oh, okay.
oh
She
yeah.
has a baby in Breaking Dawn. Okay.
Does have a baby.
Okay.
Which is like it's so funny because he says that like say it, and she's like vampire.
Vampire baby. Vampire baby.
No, in this one, she's
Oh.
like, he's like, say it. I want to hear you say it.
Oh
And
yeah,
she's
that's right. She was like, yeah.
vampire. And he's like,
Yeah.
it's like, what do we eat? I want you to say it. Blood. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that is,
Edward, you and your sick tricks.
yeah, it is kind of uncomfortable. But what is it? Oh, but that with the so apparently with the baby that happens later in the series, I do know with that it does end up with Jacob, and I guess Sandy, you told me that Taylor Lautner signed up for a 4 film deal before Breaking Dawn came out, so he was not aware that his character was gonna end up marrying Bella's child.
Yeah. As I understand it, I feel like it's not something that no one knew because they signed off in the movies before Breaking Dawn came out. I think Breaking Dawn came out as Twilight was in the theater. So real tough break on that one. That's
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, that was super fucking weird.
Also with the vampires. Oh yeah, sorry, Sandy.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna just go back to the vampires. So it's like, like Edward's like what, over 100 years old, and he's still going to high school. And it's like, you think like I would think that's why he's a good student because he's been in school for like hundreds of years. So you think they would not go? It's weird that they continue to go to high school. Like, you think they would just, yeah,
It's one of the biggest holes in the book in terms of like plausibility. Like it doesn't, even with the very flimsy reason they give, which is needing to be start out in a new place super young so they can stay there as long as possible. It's easy enough to homeschool. Why not just say you're weird homeschool? Like it's already like a mysterious family. That seems easy to like.
Yeah, they're certainly not going to school to like make friends. It's like, why go to the effort of going to school if you're not gonna like,
yeah. I don't want to.
it's also just like go live in like Seattle.
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
live somewhere where there's not a lot of sun. It's like in Seattle, like you can probably get away with.
Yeah.
I feel like in a city, less people are gonna notice you.
Yeah, big population, then small town. It's like I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to take chemistry again. Like it's gotta take that every few years. Like,
It must be so boring though. You're up all
Yeah.
night too.
You've been to school
Terrible.
hundreds of years. Wait, but like just thinking about that, do they explain why vampires look like crystals in the light? Is that why? Okay, so that's just a vampire thing. That if you're a vampire in the light, what's usually known is you'll burn to death or whatever. But Stephanie Meyer was like, nah. You're a crystal. Okay. So that's how they made that work, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. She
Okay.
takes she introduces she softens a lot of vampire stuff and introduces really specific horrific stuff. Like in Breaking Dawn, for example, so Bella has the baby, but Edward has to deliver the baby by ripping into her like with his teeth. Like
Right.
Dad has to like he has to get it out and he has to like get into the
So he goes like face first and pulls it out with his teeth.
no, I think he has to like get through I don't know,
Is that in the movie?
like the baby shell or whatever. It is in the movie. It's
Because it's a vampire. It comes in a
right.
shell. Okay.
That's so fucked.
That's weird.
It's weird. It's really weird.
I also feel triggered by all the House of Dragons fucking birth scenes I've witnessed.
Okay, that new Game of Thrones show in Sandi.
I've only seen the last episode and the first episode.
This is
we'll take out the violent rape, but you will have violent birth in this one.
The first episode, and it's pretty jarring actually.
There's another
birth thing coming up.
Yeah, it's not as graphic, but it's still like
yeah, that's how birth used to be, guys. It used to be
I mean it's still pretty bad, Martin.
But I'm saying compared to I don't know 1500, I think we'd had some advances, but
Sure. The United States also has a really bad maternal mortality rate, and there's still only like 2 ways for a baby to come out, so it's pretty gruesome.
It is. I just
Martin's like, it is what it is, gals.
Yeah. What do you want me to do about it? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's I shared my cousin's Facebook status this last episode, and we
really?
Yeah, we all enjoyed them.
They're pretty good Sabbaths.
The Rom Bros are like, hey, I feel like I wrote that.
Yeah, they could have, I guess. He lives with his mom, so it's similar. And he has a cool scorpion tattoo. Oh, it's pretty cool.
I mean, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
would
hardcore.
maybe get a scorpion tattoo.
Really? Where? You're
Um,
thinking the foot?
no, because then like, what if I look down and I'm like, oh my god, it's a scorpion.
On
Like,
you? Like this?
yeah, I feel like I want like a little one. I want it to be
Okay.
the size of like a temporary tattoo I get at,
Okay.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
fair
Charlie,
thing.
yeah. Charlie got a small skull on his arm.
Oh,
It looks like a temporary tattoo. He got it in Mexico.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
little skull's cool.
anyway, so we got a lot of different male characters in here. Who, Sandy or Jenny, would you consider being the hog of the movie, the hot old guy? Who's a hot old guy?
I mean, a cab, but Charlie.
Being Charlie's pretty, yeah.
Same, same. He's the clear answer here.
Okay. What Edward's father?
I mean, Carlisle is like old, but he's also described as like looking like he's 25, like he's frozen at 25.
Yeah, young guy. Oh yeah, I guess it doesn't count. Dude, I'm into Phil, okay?
I knew you were gonna say Phil. You're a
Dude,
big Phil
Phil.
head.
Dude,
Big
He's
Phil
not
head.
my type. I like want him a little bit more,
More going on
off
upstairs.
of the earth,
Yeah.
yeah,
I need
yeah.
you to change a tire. Like that's what I'm going for.
Phil can change a tire.
I
Okay.
think that was Martin's first follow-up question after we watched Twilight. He was like, "So like, does Phil ever make it to the major leagues?"
Yeah, what happened to Phil, dude? I know a lot about minor league baseball. Yeah, does he make it? Is he good? He sounds like he's not a good player. It sounds like he's struggling. I feel like
He
by
comes into his own a bit.
okay, I feel like
Yeah.
but I feel like by the end of this series, he's no longer a baseball player. I feel like it doesn't work out for Phil.
No, I believe he keeps going with it.
Oh, okay. It just sounded like he wasn't that good, but good for Phil. He's in the movie like 3 seconds, right? And he's like, what is he? Like, hey, let's get going, right? Isn't that like,
I believe it. Hey, I love you both. We got a plane to catch.
oh, okay, yeah, but we see him again, right? In the movie,
We see him
thought he was
briefly
at
at
the
the
wedding.
wedding.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right. The
I
wedding.
think I think that's Phil's last appearance. Actually, I think Phil shows up twice.
Well, I want to write my own book about Phil's perspective on this.
Honestly, I
I
would
think
love
you
to
should
read
do that. That would be great.
it.
Yeah, about
You know
being.
what? It
Yeah,
would sell.
yeah.
Like
It's
you
and
get
it's
the
more.
go ahead from Stephanie Meyer, boom, people will buy it.
Yeah,
People
and-
bought. I read the short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which is about a vampire who's in it for about 5 seconds at the end of Eclipse. Wasn't good.
That's so funny. That's
yeah,
It
hilarious.
was.
yeah.
I was mad about it. I was mad it existed, but
Yeah.
fine.
All right, Martin, should we have Sandy summarize the movie in a minute?
Yeah. So we end it. You gotta summarize this in a minute, Sandy. That just the first book movie. But if you think you do the entire saga, you're welcome to it. But yeah, 1 minute. You need a timer? I can time you.
Yeah,
Can
time me.
all right. Well, I show you it on my screen. It's gonna be backwards, but
Okay.
all right, tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, go.
Okay. Oh, that's so much pressure seeing it up there. Oh, I
Well,
wasted so much time. Okay. A young gal who has been forced to grow up too early due to an emotionally stunted mother, and quite frankly, a well-meaning but somewhat inept father, places all of her hopes and dreams in the arms of a 108-year-old vampire at her high school. and it really just kind of goes all in on it. And that's really kind of it. That's the whole thing. And she's immediately accepted by the entire high school. And she says, no, I want the one dude who's being kind of a dick. And then he's like, you know what? You are special. And they go to prom.
Right,
Done.
cool. Oh, we did it.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I've always said, dude, the ladies like it when you treat them like shit, dude. That's my approach, you know. I'm just like, whatever, girl, you know, whatever. Hey, you got, hey, what do
Martin,
you
you're just pandering to the Rom Bros at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do you want, you broad? Yeah, this broad over here, you know.
You're gonna get a bunch of fan mail for this.
Yeah, you know. Anyway, cool. Yeah, no, good job, Sandy. They really
Thank you.
summarized it very well.
Thank
But yeah,
you.
I think, you know, it's I guess, you know, it's a romantic movie. You know, like we all said, people really connect to it. She sold millions of books. People still go see the sites it was filmed at. So people out there, this is the most romantic series ever written.
Their quick aside here, last one. In visiting these places in Oregon, the cafe that was in the movie, there's a guest book in it, and it reading through the guest book of people who visited because of Twilight, it's people who are on their honeymoon, on their wedding anniversary trip, on things. There was one thing that said, I'm so glad my teenage mother made me read this book. So I would imagine the mother was like, you know, maybe 25 by that point or something. It seemed like a lot. The movie that's her, or the house that's used as her house in the movie, is an Airbnb, and it sells out a year in advance, and it's $400 a night in like St. Helens, Oregon, which is just, you know, it's nice enough, but it's not a $400 a night. It's a lot. People are very invested still, which is
Yeah. So
good for.
Honestly, I think it's so funny. Someone wrote, like, I'm so glad my teen mom made me read this book. And you could just call your mother, you know?
want to
Like,
let people know
It was
the
a weird
struggles
detail to ask.
they went
yeah,
through.
it was
Struggles
like,
they went
okay.
But what an ending, guys. But yeah, thanks, Sandy, for being on. And
Thanks, Sandy.
we all had fun here, right?
Thanks for talking Twilight.
Yeah.
Of course. I'll see
Honestly, we should probably have you on again for another one.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, we'll find something. But
Yeah.
Sounds good. I love a good
and
rom-com.
I'll read another book. I'll read New Moon eventually. I got a few other things.
Martin just becomes the biggest Twilight fan.
I was hoping for it.
I mean, we'll see how I feel about it. But
I was hoping for it.
anyhow, okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Any feel better? Let me know if you
Yeah,
need
I
it.
feel better.
Told you. Yeah. I'm gonna go. Like, I didn't have like much of an appetite, and now I'm like, I want a hoagie. So I'm gonna go make a hoagie.
Make one. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Remember, it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. So,
Thanks, Martin. That
so
made me feel violent.
that's why I'm always happy. I'm with Ray. You know, probably out of everybody in the comedy scene, I might be the Joker. Actually, the Joker. I guess
Pretty high
it's
up
gonna
there.
be me.
That laugh is so unnerving every time.
And on that note, good night, all.
Night, everybody.
Okay, bye, you guys.